What is up, everyone? All Barcelona fans and football fans. Back again with another wrap-up video, the last one for this year. This is going to be, I'm going to talk about a little bit the few of the last games that happened and a few of the situations right now that is going on in Spain and with Barcelona and all that kind of stuff, and a few other things that we can look forward to in the next year. But I want to start off first by saying Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and Happy New Year to everybody, whatever you celebrate. Hope you all have a good time with your family and everything, and just enjoy this end of the year here. And hopefully 2026 is gonna bring you all, everybody, pretty much even better times, because 2025 has been very interesting. It's been clearly an up and down year, but for Barcelona overall, of course, it's been fairly good, gotta say. And I also want to say one more thing before I get into it. I want to say another big thank you and a happy retirement to one of my biggest inspirations, a wrestling legend who just retired a little bit more than a week ago. I'm wearing a shirt right here, as you can see, or maybe there's another shirt right here. John Cena, of course, the GOAT of wrestling, absolute legend, and he's been a big inspiration for me since I was younger. So thank you, John, for everything. Absolutely amazing to see how you have gone through in your career. So yeah, that's all. I just wanted to send a little bit of a thank you to him. But anyways, let's just get into this now. This end of the year has been good for us. We have been winning. We've been on a big winning streak right now. I think it's like seven or eight games in a row that we won in all competitions combined. Ever since that Chelsea game where we lost 3-0, we have been winning, and that is incredible. That is really good. The results that we've gotten, even against some kind of difficult teams too, like Atletico Madrid and Real Betis, big results there, big wins, and big performances as well, and many players returning from injury, and it's been good. We've seen some good quality football from us. We've been doing really well, and always stepping up. And also, the last game of the year against Villarreal, we won that as well, very confidently and very good. I was very happy about that performance. We won 2-0. The third 2-0 result in a row that we've gotten. And the third as well, clean sheet in a row as well. So that's very awesome to see. We had a Copa del Rey game as well against Guadalajara that we left it late, a little bit too late maybe to get the goals, but we still got the job done. Christensen and Marcus Rashford scoring on that night. I think we still did really good there. In other results, 2-0 against Osasuna as well, and good performance there. And then, of course, the 2-0 against Villarreal with goals by, what was now? God, now I forgot. I think Lamine Yamal scored a second goal. The first one was scored by Rafinha on a penalty, right? Rafinha has been having a good season so far, really stepping up ever since he came back from injury as well. Very solid, very good. Everything really. It's just him, Lamine, and everybody else that's been stepping up more and more. And we are in an very, very good form right now. And that makes me extremely happy and very confident going forward into this very tough now upcoming second half of the season. Our first game next year in a couple of weeks will be against Espanyol. I think on the 3rd of January, I think it was. We will be facing them away. John Garcia going to his old stadium, his old team. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there, but hopefully we can get that win as well. Then, of course, we have another Copa del Rey game later on in January, but also we have the Super Cup coming up in that same month, and we have that semi-final first against Athletic Bilbao, which we should be winning. We beat them earlier this year, early in the season. We got the win there at home. I think that was the first game back in the Camp Nou, I think it was, right? I think so, if I'm not mistaken. And we got the 4-0 victory there. So we should be able to get a good win here too. Get to that potential final then. While Real Madrid, on the other hand, are facing Atletico, which they got defeated by 5-2 earlier in the season. So it's going to be interesting to see how that final will look. But speaking of them, that club, Real Madrid, it's been... sorry, I'm getting over a cold and everything. Been really sick lately. But I'm gonna try to do my best here. But speaking of them, they have been very much in a total opposite of us this season. Going on a massive more downfall, and most what they have been able to do is been complaining a lot, and that's hence the title of this video as you see it. And mostly about Negreira and other things like that. They've been complaining and trying to shift blame because right now Perez is under pressure and he's also in the team. It's just not doing well. Xabi Alonso has not been able to make Real Madrid flow well as they would have hoped, and he's also sitting on hanging really loose right now. And the results that they have been putting up have not been good. They nearly escaped total catastrophe in the Copa del Rey, just barely beating Talavera, I think they're called. And then in the league, they've been not doing well at all, losing multiple games. They lost to Celta Vigo. They, as you remember, they drew plenty of games as well, and a lot of things like that, and just have barely scraped those games that they have won. You just barely scraped by. And in their last game now, last league game they played there, barely, just somehow barely got their win there as well. Against Sevilla. But Sevilla were all over them really into that second half. But they got lucky to get away with that 2-0 victory there. But yeah, they have not been good, and all what we've heard from them often, not that they need to, something about they needing to fix their team or need to improve or anything like that about tactics. No, they have all they have been talking about is us. They've been talking about Barcelona. They've been talking about all this is like Barcelona this, Barcelona that, corruption. That's all they've been trying to bring up as usual. That's when they're doing bad. That's all they can revert to, because then they know they can shift focus away from their bad performance, their bad situation, and make us look bad. So nobody will think about, Real Madrid are in a crisis or anything like that. I mean, that's just typical from them. And I find that utterly embarrassing. I found that pathetic. I found that just childish and stupid. And they're trying to force Barcelona to give out some documents now or something. They even started a goddamn like online talk show, something show, like talking that talks about things like I don't even I don't want to talk about it because it just makes me so mad, just irritated and pissed off because it's the most dumbest thing I've ever seen. It's embarrassing. It really is embarrassing that they're stooping to that level and just instead of focusing on their own club and trying to fix what their problems are, they're trying to shift away and not fix their own problems, but they're just trying to shift away the focus so nobody will see the problems. And then eventually when they somehow maybe luckily can corrupt their way into something or somehow but at last minute luckily win some trophy, everything will be forgotten and the cycle begins again for Papa Perez, you know. That's what he does. And some Madrid fans are really deluded, really buying into this stuff. But I've seen some that actually are pretty smart and actually are pretty genuinely intelligent and actually make sense with what they're saying. And they don't buy into that stuff and they actually are real football fans and not just bandwagoners. And they understand that what Real Madrid is doing is not right. And it's embarrassing and it's just a bad look. While others are just keep talking, keep mentioning the greater after every single goddamn loss they've experienced, or every time they after a Barcelona game, they find every small little detail and then just all bring it back to that. If we win when we're doing well, or if they lose or they're doing bad, that's what they revert to. And it's just, I can understand why they're doing this. Why are you so focused on something so stupid instead of focusing on your own team, on your own stuff, and trying to improve? Try to improve and get better and speak on the pitch, and then you can start talking when you can get up and face us and actually perform well. But that's not Real Madrid, is it? It's never been Real Madrid. Ever since the early 2000s, with the first Galacticos, that's never been Perez Real Madrid. Never. They're a bunch of stars that are all just individual people with big egos. They never have tactics, never have proper tactics. When they have been able to win stuff, it's because the egos were kind of in check and they got lucky because of last minute goals or individual brilliant performances somewhere here and there. But they've never been a collective unit. Never. Not with Ronaldo, Beckham and Zidane and all that other shit. No. Not with Cristiano, Benzema and Bale. No. And now especially not with Mbappe, Vinicius and Rodrigo and Jude and wherever else. It's the same situation again as in the beginning of the 2010s. or the middle of them. Bunch of individual egos that don't work well together. And that's why also Xabi Alonso cannot handle those. And then there's this disconnect, and then there's this all crazy stuff happening, and Vinicius says something, Mbappe says something, and they all go into some kind of frenzy. And then when they perform bad, they revert to the old stuff and the old excuses. That's what they all are. Excuses FC. Something that Barcelona never... I'm not speaking right now as a Barcelona fan only. I'm speaking as genuinely a football fan. Normally. That other clubs like Barcelona, like even somebody else, like or any other clubs in any other league, City and United, they never revert to stuff like this when they're doing bad. They don't start talking about referees. all over. Yes, they can mention here and there somewhat a little bit, but that's not the main focus. They don't focus on a whole other team and what they're doing, or focusing on trying to make them look bad. No, they focus on themselves and try to work in the club what they need to do to get better and to rework that and get out there and actually perform well. That's what we did when we were doing bad under Xavi and also under Coleman after Coleman and all that stuff, all these last few years before Flick. We regrouped, saw the bad stuff, and worked on them. And that's even with a small budget. That's even when we have restrictions in our economy. We don't have that much money, much freedom with money as Real Madrid does or any other. But we still worked around that and fixed our problems. And look what that got us. A domestic treble last season. All Clasico wins. We improved because we focus on ourselves. They didn't improve because they're focusing on totally different stuff that they shouldn't be focusing on. Because they're not a collective. They don't have that collective focus. They only focus on individuals, different separate stuff. And I think some people, some fans that actually have some sense can agree with me on that. It's it's such a bad situation there. I don't want to sit there and be angry at Christmas. It's not fun, right? But that is the situation. That is the situation that we're in with them. And I hope that can stop, because that's just dumb. Not just for us, but for football in general. Like, why would you do that? And I'm not even gonna get into all the how incredibly hypocritical they're being as well, because you know how they shouldn't be the ones speaking about refereeing, with what's happened in the recent 3 years, and like for the last like how many years, like 15 to 20 years or so. Anyways, that's my little short spin on that. Now to wrap up the video, I just want to talk about what's going up next year and what some of the things about signings and all that kind of stuff that can happen. We have seen that we have some problems in defense, that we need more depth in defense. And Hansi Flick has personally himself come out and said that he needs backup in defense. And he has told Deco, he's told Laporta, January he got to sign somebody. And I agree with that 100%. Even if it is a low cost, low budget option, anybody would be good. Preferably it would be somebody properly we can use for future. I would love to see Schlotterbeck come to us. But he's been one of those rumored ones. But if we can't get him now, at least get somebody that we can afford, that is still very solid and very good, that can be good for the squad depth, good for the depth in defense, that can always be there and help out. Because for the second half of the season, we 100% need somebody like that. Because we see now that Araujo is not reliable. Yes, he's going to come back soon, I think, from his little hiatus. But I still don't trust him. I don't trust him. And I think nobody really does at the moment. We can't rely on him. And it's being too much pressure and too much play time for Jara Martin and Marco Barsi and Kubarsi and Martin. They cannot be doing all this kind of stuff. They cannot be playing every single game. And Eric Garcia, he tries as well, but Flick has had to put him on many different positions. Like right back, in midfield, in central defense. That's also a big burden and too much on him as well. Even though he's been playing absolutely brilliantly, and really, really good. And I'm happy with his performances. But still, we can't be good doing that. In the second half of the season, there's so much more that needs to be done. So much more pressure, so much more bigger games, and we need somebody else. So hopefully, we can get in somebody in January that can help us out properly. If it's not Schlotterbeck, then somebody else like lower budget that we can help us out. That is still solid. And then when it comes to the summer next year, there's a lot that needs to be done there too. And we have been rumored, as I said, Schlotterbeck is one of them. Then we have Bastoni as well from Inter. He's one of those that's been rumored as well. And it looks like maybe he wants to join us too, because he's been liking a few pictures online and stuff like that about Barcelona and all that. I think he liked something about Fabrizio Romano that said something, or something else like that. It was something along those lines. And he could be a good option, definitely. There's been some rumors about Gray, how you pronounce his name, I don't remember, I don't know exactly. But the defender from Crystal Palace, he's been rumored as well, but his wages seem to be a bit too high. Maybe his wage demands. But we'll see what happens with that. And a few others along those lines have been. There's been some up and down, some defenders that have been rumored to be could be potentially coming to Barcelona by next summer, but who knows? Who knows? All I know is that there's gonna be a need of a big overhaul and change and really improvement next summer. Also of course, in attack as well, with a new striker coming in, hopefully. But regarding Lewandowski, there's been some sayings that he may stay another season as well anyways, and have a more lesser like bench role, something like that, in a lower wage. There's been some saying that he wants to stay, and he's been offered up that he can lower his wages and everything, and he knows that he won't have as big of a role, and he's okay with that. And if that is possible, I will be okay with that, because he is still a good presence in the locker room, a good leader, and someone with experience that can still help out the younger players and motivate them and stuff like that. So him staying another season with a more of a lesser role, I think that could be good actually for the team. So if that is possible, I would love to see that happening. But we will also then sign a proper new striker, and he can help that striker as well do well, and also as well as keep motivating Ferran Torres too, and things like that. And there's been a lot of different rumors about which striker we're gonna get. Rumors about Harry Kane, rumors about Julian Alvarez, and many others like that. But I'm not gonna go into that too much right now. We'll see next year. We'll see during the spring what more comes up, and we'll talk about it next summer when the time comes. But for now, in the January window, we need a new defender, and that's what we need to focus on next. And all the games that are coming up too, hopefully we can do well, and hopefully we can win our first trophy coming up next month, just like we did last year, or this year, last January. So hopefully we can get that done, and we can get a good step into the second half of the season. But yeah, that's pretty much it for now. Most of the rumors there surrounding everything. There's been a few other things, but there's always something surrounding a lot of people and all that kind of stuff during these times. But those are the main things, of course. There's been some stuff in other leagues as well. Liverpool, they're in a bit of a tough situation right now. Arsenal once again are beginning to bottle their league lead a bit. which is typical. I remember like last month or 2 months ago, people were saying, "Oh, it's done. Like Arsenal's gonna win this. It's there. It's settled." No, I give it some time. They will start to lose points. Like they will start to drop points soon enough. And yeah, here we are. And Manchester City are just up close to them again. And it's very like it's very interesting to see. But like we'll see what happens there. Um, and in the Champions League, of course, we have to win. We have 2 more games left. We against Slavia Prague and Copenhagen, must wins, so we can at least get through in the higher ups of the of the qualification rounds. I think what it's called, like the. Hopefully we could get into the top 8, but if not, at least we can get through and have a chance, but via those qualification games, which will be more games for us to play. But what can you do? Hopefully we'll get an easier opponent, potentially at least. So yeah, a lot looking ahead for 2026. There's much that's gonna happen, and hopefully much good. Hopefully we'll have a great second half of the season and potentially get some trophies again. We're looking good in La Liga right now. Hopefully we'll win the Super Cup. Hopefully we'll do well in the Copa del Rey, and most importantly, hopefully we can make it far into the Champions League again. And I don't know, who knows what can happen. But I'm not saying anything right now. It's too much to really ask for at the moment with the the team as it is. But we do have the talent, and anything can happen. We were very close this year back in the spring, but what happened. But hopefully this time we will have more luck on our side. We'll see. But that's gonna do it, everyone. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. And the last video of the year, I believe. Maybe I'll post something more just before the end of the year. But the last main big video like this, at least. Thank you all for a great 2025. I hope you have had a year as well, and hopefully 2026 will bring us all some happy and great moments. And yeah, that's gonna do it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Peace, Barcelona.